Good morning, all, and Jai Sadgurudeo. Welcome to yet another awaited session of our weekly Sunday Satsang. I'm Dipti and have joined this virtual Satsang from Glen Rock, New Jersey. In the current times, our day-to-day life goes busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So first of all, I congratulate each one of you on board for taking some time from your busy schedule and meeting us on this virtual satsang to fulfill the requirements of our soul. Thank you. And now let's move forward to our next section, which is Swarved Wisdom. And today we have our guest speaker, Dr. Subhash Chandraji, who is a Vihangam Yoga follower since his childhood days. And he is a practicing physician in New York. And we would like to invite Subhashji to share his knowledge on Swarved Wisdom. Subhashji, over to you, and let me know if you want me to share any screen for the Dohas. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipti ji, and Jai Sadgurudeo to all. So today's couplets are from second mandal. Second adhyay, 17th and 18th couplet. 18th sloka from second mandal, second adhyay. Sadguru paridhi nivas mein मन माया भय नाही मन मुख जीव साधन नहीं भटक भरम जग माही सद्गुरु परिधि निवास में. So when we function under the guidelines, under the rules and regulations laid down by Sadgurudeo, by the principles laid under Swarveda, the fear of man maya, the fear related to this wavering mind and this maya, the worldly materialistic things, are not fearful if we are under the guidance of Sadgurudeo. However, there are disciples where manmukh jiv sadhana nahi, who under the guidance of Sadguru have difficulty following his rules and regulations. Even if they have been initiated, they start manmukhi, as in their own rules, regulations, and what to preach and how to practice. For those disciples, it is said, bhatak bharam jagamahi. So they end up like a nomad who is, because of their suspicions, they end up like a nomad in this world. It means they never find their humble abode. So it's very important, as this couplet mentions, that it's very important to be under the guidance of Sadguru. So there are people who, when they pray to Sadguru, they pray for certain things. And here a story becomes important, that what does the word surrender means? When you surrender to someone, you surrender at every level. And only then you get the outcome. But let's say we have surrendered, and while praying to this Sadgurudeo, we are asking him for certain material rewards or getting rid of certain suffering. So once upon a time, a monk was praying with his disciples. Every disciple, when they prayed, their lips were moving because whatever they were demanding, they were saying it. But one of the disciples found that the senior monk had no expression on his face and had his lips were not moving. So after the prayer was over, he asked his senior monk, "What did you ask for? What did you pray to God?" Because even if you would have prayed and asked for something in your thoughts, still there will be some expression or movement on your face, on your lips. But the way you were silent, the way there was no movement of any kind, it appeared that you did not ask for anything. In order to teach this younger disciple or a disciple who has not reached that stage, he told him a story. There was a king who was standing in the balcony of his castle. He saw a beggar crossing by. He came down from his balcony to the entrance of his castle, stopped the beggar. The beggar was in a very disabled state, very miserable. All the clothes were torn. He was untidy, shriveled, sunken eyes, sunken cheeks. And it was very vivid that he had no place to live. He has nothing to eat. And he has no means to meet daily needs. Regardless of what he looked like, the king asked him, "Tell me, what do you need?" And the beggar said that, "King, even after looking at me, you don't know what I need. Then there is no point in me asking you what I think I need or what I know I need." The king felt embarrassed that yes, he is right. It's very much understood what he needed. And still I asked him. So he told his subordinates or mantri or guards to get food for him, get new clothes for him. So he got food, he got clothes, also managed a small hut for him, and also get him a job. So the moral of the story is we can only know based on our intellect what we want, and we rarely know what we need. But if we are praying to someone who is more powerful and whom we trust with our full surrender, that he knows what we need. So with that kind of surrender, you have to let the king decide what you need, and then the king will give you everything based on his understanding of your need, rather than your limited ability to ask. For example, if the beggar asked only for food, he would get food, but he would be deprived of clothes, house, and a job. Similarly, in Vihangam Yoga, When we surrender, as it is said here, Sadguru Paridhi Nivasame, when we surrender at every level, we sometimes feel or believe that we have surrendered, but in reality, we have not yet surrendered because we still use our mind, and while praying, we ask for certain things. We ask for some material gifts or whatever the current stressful situation is with the person who is praying to Sadgurudeo. So we always have to remember the importance of surrender, full surrender. And full surrender is not only 10 minutes of meditation 2 times a day, but it surrender from your every level of being, from your molecular level. And let Sadguru decide what you need when you pray. Always remember that Sadgurudeo won't be giving you everything that you are asking for. Because Vihangam Yoga is not for those worldly materialistic things that we ask for under situations of stress, distress, sense of helplessness. As Swamiji says in Sadgurudeo, in Swarveda, that for a Vihangam Yoga Sevak, nothing is unachievable. Seva jit utirna ko vishwa alabh na hoye, mukti tahi piche fire Sadguru Sevak soye. Which means Seva jit, a shishya, a disciple who is a real Sevak, Seva jit. And Sevak is someone who has surrendered himself completely in his lotus feet at the level of body, mind, and that involves your entire worldly possessions, sorrows, suffering. So a Seva Jit, who has, Jit means Jitna, winning, who has been a great Sevak, Seva Jit Uttirna ko Vishwa Alabh na hoye. So if you are a real disciple who is following the rules, regulations, and completely surrendered to Sadgurudeo, then there is nothing in this universe that is impossible to you. Swamiji further says that we are looking for freedom from this bondage of birth and rebirth. But if you are a Sevajit Shishya, a surrendered disciple, then that freedom, that moksha, will come to you. You don't have to fight for it. It comes to you. That is what is the meaning of a real sevak. Sadguru takes care of his devoted Shishya in every manner, but gives materialistic things only within a limit so that the Shishya don't get distracted from the core objective of liberation. So what I'm trying to re-emphasize is, once you surrender, once you become Sevajit Shishya, following the guidelines, rules, regulations with complete surrender, you will achieve, you will be mastering over man, maya. So that is what this couplet emphasizes. Before I move to the next couplet, back to you, Diptiji.
Thank you so much, Subhashji. You have explained this doha so beautifully. And it was really amazing to listen your all the examples of this Doha and detailed explanation. Thank you so much for that. And I would like to request our audience if they have any question related to related to this Doha for Subhashi, please come forward and ask. If nobody has any question, then Subhashi, please, you can take the next Doha. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Diptiji. Second mandal, second adhyay, 19th couplet. Gyani shap न लागी, विघ्न न बाधक होए, मोह शोक न हिताहि को, कर्म न बंधन होए. Once again in this couplet, the emphasis is on a yogi, a Vihangam yogi. Emphasis is on what is expected of a disciple. The merits of a disciple and how nothing stays away from a disciple. Gyani shap na lagi. Here the word Gyani is for Vihangam yogi, a disciple, and not a disciple who has just been initiated, but a disciple who is Sevajit. And as I discussed previously, so Gyani shap na lagi. In other words, the way I would understand it, that those who are the disciples and who have surrendered themselves under the blessings of Sadgurudeo, even those karmas from past life, even that get burned away, even that gets burned away. So any sharp as in curse, sharp nalagi, so they are not, they are immune to curses, or I would say bad influences or bad outcomes. Vign na badhak hoye. So as they pursue their day-to-day life, because most of us who are devoted, they sometimes get deviated from this complete surrender because of our materialistic hurdle, materialistic needs. So here Swamiji is emphasizing that for a Vihangam yogi, Vigna Nabadhak hoye, there are no such hindrances. Because moh shok nahitahi ko, he is not attached to any worldly things. Since he is not attached, they are not attached. If something is lost, they don't feel deprived, they don't feel the suffering, and they do not feel it as an achievement when they attain or when they achieve something. So a real Vihangam yogi has no materialistic attachment, no sadness or suffering at the loss of the materialistic possession. And what ends up happening is that this Maya, this world filled with actions and outcomes, he is away from it. He is far from it, nothing affects him. That is the quality of a disciple. So from this couplet, we need to understand what kind of disciple are we talking about, who will reach such a stage in which there will be no hurdle, There will be no attachment, detachment, no pain, no suffering. What kind of disciple will be that? So I'll again use another story to understand this. Once again, this is a story from a monk. So a monk had 500 disciples. They were living in some monastery. A king came to that monk asking for solace, peace, freedom from the suffering. Even if he was a king and he had everything that one could think about or one could gain from this materialistic world, but he was restless and he came to the monk. Monk said, it's not that easy. You will have to give up everything. It may take entire life of yours or multiple lives before you come to that stage. The king replied, I am ready. So here we are once again looking at the characteristics of a disciple that we are referring to. So the moment monks placed all those conditions, he said, I'm ready. Here we need to compare ourselves as disciples. When was the last time we said we are ready? When was the last time we were willing and ready to give up all the worldly possession, not asking how much time it may take, not asking what I will have to and what I will not have to do, but just giving up, whatever you say, Master. That was the response. The monk gave him another opportunity, that you are a king, it will be very difficult. It will be full of hardship. You have a good life, you should go back. Here again comes the quality of a disciple whom, when we talk about a disciple who is Sevajit, and as I said, as I repeated a couplet, Sevajit uttirna ko vishwa alabh na hoye, muktita hi piche fire, Sadguru sevak soye. So we are referring to that kind of a disciple who came to this monk and willing to surrender everything without having a commitment towards the outcome. So the monk said, okay, so there are 500 disciples here and they need food. For food, you need to pound the rice and you will have to keep pounding the rice so that they can be fed. You will never have to come back to me to ask what next and what next. Whenever you are ready, I will come to you. Once again, it reminds me of us as disciples. We do meditate for some time and then we think about when will be the next stage, when will be the stage after that. And we keep questioning. And here the guru, the monk, clarified it in the beginning itself. Do not ask a question. Whenever you are prepared or ready, I will come to you. And the work he was given was in that storeroom where it was full of rice, just keep pounding the rice and nothing else. He started pounding the rice. Days passed, months passed. Every disciple in the monastery started thinking of him as if he is a fool, because it seemed like he doesn't know anything. He's not reading any scriptures. All he does is staying silent, pounding the rice. In this process, what happened is 12 years passed. In these 12 years, did thoughts come to him? Yes, thoughts came, but there was nothing else to process, nothing else beyond those thoughts. So it would come and go away, and he will be back to pounding the rice. A time came, he started forgetting his name. No one called his name. No one talked to him. Then a time came, he even forgot where he comes from, because all he did day and night was pounding the rice. He would sleep in the same area, wake up in the morning, after daily chores, he will be back to pounding. After 12 years, when that monk decided that now I want to choose my successor. So anyone can be my successor. Whoever feels that they should be given that chance, they should write something on my door, and reading that, I will make a decision. So the disciple who was most learned, and every other disciple knew that this is the one who is a master of scriptures, most knowledgeable, he will get this position as a successor. He also believed in that. This chief, let's name him as a chief disciple, he also felt the same way. So he wrote on the door, mind is like a mirror on which the dust of memories keep settling. And we need to continue to wipe away that dust with the help of meditation. But he was not confident, and he did not even write his name at the bottom of these lines. The monk woke up in the middle of the night, intrigued what has been written. When he saw that, he got angry, that these are just bookish knowledges, which we all keep reading and reading. More important is the practical aspect. Someone who is writing this does not even know what mind is. So, and it became a topic of discussion. Other disciples started talking about how the monk got so angry on the chief monk for writing such things. It was a matter of gossip. People were gossiping, and that rice pounder, that was the name he was known by instead of his name given to him at birth. He heard it, and even he started laughing. So when he started laughing, the other disciples got angry that what would you know about mind? You are a fool. You don't know anything. So what makes you laugh? He responded that mind is not a mirror. And if there is no mirror, we are not talking about the settling of the dust. Because he has already experienced it. In the process of rice pounding, with the surrender as a disciple that he had already gotten rid of his mind. He was in the state of mindlessness under the blessings of his monk guru and by his utmost surrender. And he had already realized that meditation will be a state where there is no mind. So there is no mirror, and forget all about the dust. As Swamiji says in Swarveda, Brahm Vidya Chingi Udi Lagi Karma Ghar Aag Karma Vashana Jar Gai Chetan Chetan Jag. What it makes me relate to is for a Brahma yogi, Brahma Vidya, who is practicing Brahma Vidya, in the way it has been taught, in the way it is expected from us to practice, when that Brahma Vidya is practiced by you, lagi karma ghar aag, the worldly things and all that comes and associated with it gets burned. Karma, vashana, your actions, your attachments, your lust, everything gets burnt, and what is left is the conscious you. So that is the power of being a disciple, as it is explained here, that once you are the disciple, that is expected from a Vihangam yogi, all these things that I'm talking about spontaneously happens. So coming back to the story, so this rice pounder, when he wrote this, he said that I don't know to write. So on his behalf, those two monks wrote the story. And as we understand that the monk realized that he is the one who had self-realization. He's not talking just based on scriptures, but he could not appoint him as the chief of the monastery because we live in a different world. And that is what the monk told him. I would take my stick, take my, what I would have given someone who came as my successor, take these things, but leave the monastery, as no one would accept you as the chief. So this is the example of how surrender happens, and how with this surrender, which is at the level of everything that you have, everything that you can think you have, that in itself is the pathway to enlightenment. As Swamiji says, तीन लोक की संपदा आए बसे घर माही तबहु मन शीतल नहीं और मिलन के माही. So all the wealth beyond what one can think of, and as we have heard in many examples of Prince Siddharth, Narad Muni, Sikandar Mahan, that they had all the belongings of the world that one could have thought of. But none of them had that man shital nahi, as in the coolness of the mind, as in the mind being settled. And Swamiji further says, Seek bund sam jagat sukh, kasha samundar jaan, परमानंद को किमी कहूं शक्य वचन नहीं ज्ञान. So we need to learn the art of surrender, and that surrender involves everything that is worldly, that we feel as that we want it. But with the full surrender, Swamiji knows what you need versus what you want, and that is the way the sole purpose of human life is achieved. Back to you, Diptiji. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Subhashi. for explaining this Doha so beautifully again. And again, I would like to request our audience, if they have question related to this Doha, please come forward and ask to Subhashi. If nobody has any question, then Subhashi, I have a question, and I think few weeks back, Monica ji had asked this question to you, and you answered it so beautifully. But I just want to make sure here that here there is a word called moha. And what I remember, Monica ji had asked that for our kids, we have the attachments, right? And in answer you told that though we have attachments to our kids, but whatever we do or we give, that should be in an unconditional way. So here my question is that especially in case of our kids, we are kind of very much attached, and when the real situation comes, maybe we know we have to behave in a very detached form, or we have to take any decision towards that stuff in a very detached way, but still we have those kind of connection and attachment to our kids. So in that case, how we are going to have control with the attachment trait? Because what I know, of course, we have to continue doing our seva, sadhana, satsang, but at the same time, it's a very complicated and very tough thing to control over the attachment thing, especially when it comes to our kid stuff. So that is my question for you.
Dipti, the way I understand it is, why do we have attachment? And when we say attachment, first of all, we need to know who is attached to who here. If we are determining our existence on the basis of our body, because we receive genetic material from our parents, so we know they are our parents. And we know that we are a body. So this knowledge in itself, where we know ourselves as this body, so we know our kids in the same manner in their bodily form. So the way I would say it or see it is, it's attachment of biological material, body to body, because this is based on our knowledge and understanding of who we are. The moment we realize we are not the body, hum sharir nahi, hum shariri hain. The moment we realize that we are the soul, then that realization that even our kids are individual soul, it is just a chance that they have our genetic material. I gave birth, or the parents are the one who are nurturing them, but their identity is as an individual soul. And as we know that this soul of ours has been in bondage over multiple cycles of birth and rebirth, once we accept, appreciate, not only in words, but accept it as it is and understand it as it is, only then we'll realize that soul of my son or my daughter may be the soul which in the previous birth was something else, in the next birth will be something else, because it is just a soul who is going through this suffering because of the bondage. So my association with this soul is just for this one birth. As one of the example is that there is a boat and we all are sitting in that boat and we have to cross the river. We know each other during their journey in the boat by talking to each other, by asking each other's whereabouts, by making small talks. Only in ignorance we will start believing that the person who is sitting next to me in this boat is mine or is very close to me. He talked to me, he asked my whereabouts, my well-being. The ignorance here will be that once the boat reaches the other end of the river, all the occupants of the boat will go into different directions. So that reality check, as in understanding of the reality of the life in which we all know each other for this temporary association in this one life, which is like a river, and we begin that embarking on the boat from one end of the river, not end, but one side of the river, one river bank to the other river bank, and then we again go back to our different paths, different souls, which has different journey of each one of us. So what is important is, once again, the realization that we all are souls. Without seeing or realizing the real soul within us, there cannot be a real bhakti. And if there is no real bhakti, there will be no detachment, because you have not realized that you are a soul. What we will continue to do at best is Shubh Karma. Shubh Karma in itself would be a mother. What kind of a mother does not take care of their kids? So a good mother is attached to their kids and taking good care of them so that they flourish and they do well in this world. So it all boils down back to the world and our existence in the world. But when we talk about the bhakti or attaining God or detachment, we all know, we have discussed and we practice it, that God is beyond mind, vani, indriya. And body. Indriya and vani will be a part of the body. So to break it down in the simple way would be, if you were not a body, if you were not a body but a soul, how, this is just a hypothetical thinking, how would you be attached to your son's soul? We are attached to each other in this bodily form, which is based on the current worldly situation we are in. It is there the way it has to exist. But once we realize that we are Shariri and not Sharir, once we realize that we are soul and our real bhakti begins, then the attachment gets burned simultaneously as our bhakti takes place. Thank you, Diptiji. I hope I shed some light back to you.
Thanks a lot, Subhashi. You explained it so beautifully. Thanks a lot again. And again, I would like to request our audience if they have any question for Subhashi. If nobody has any questions, Subhashi, I think today we can conclude the Doha session in here because it's already 11:34. So let me just, yeah. So it's already 11:34. So you are good with that, right?
Yes, yes, please. Let's conclude it here and move forward to the next.
Okay. Yeah.
Dipti ji,
Yeah,
Dipti ji, yes. Since we have a little bit time, I have a small question, and also wanted to, after my question, also wanted to point out that we looks like we may be having new joinees in today's session that we could invite to come forward and introduce themselves. I think there are one or two new joinees, but I might be wrong. So you can actually ask them to introduce themselves. But my question here is my question. As Subhaji was explaining today's Dohas, they were like more around the fact that materialistic desires and anything that is related to this life, askings and sufferings. I was just I mean, although I agree fully with the Subhashji, no doubts about that, because spirituality is something which is beyond beyond the understanding of this life, that we may perceive it, however we perceive it, but the real growth and advancement in spirituality is much beyond that. However, one question just arose in my mind, Subhashi, at the end of your discourse for the second Doha, and which is that even Swamiji says that the only thing that a true disciple should ask for is bhakti. The disciple should ask for utkut prem, bhakti, and shakti to do or to perform any seva, right? So Swamiji himself says that the devotee should only ask for bhakti and the I don't know the English word for I don't know if it was utka, uttam or utkar, I don't know what was that.
That is utkat bhakti or utkat prem, Mankaji.
Yes, yes, to ask only from Sadgurudeo to give us his unending and unconditional love to us, and his devotion, as well as the strength to perform our seva to him. This is the only desires one must have. So I completely agree, and and trying to walk that path every time, because in the end of this life journey, we want to be closer to Sadgurudev. We want to be, reaching our goals for mukti, shanti, and bliss. However, in life, sometimes we come into situations with that, go outside our control. It could be a bad, health, or it could be any situation that someone might be facing. So in that case, in Vihangam Yoga, as far as I have understood, that there is a process of Havan Yajna, right? And in fact, since Swamiji is coming to America soon this week, we are also organizing a Havan program in North Carolina, right? Where a lot of people will join in, and that particular austerity is, one of the main reasons why people should be part of yajna or perform yajna is for their internal well-being, as well as to fulfill any materialistic desire they may be having. So even though I know about it, and I have myself been doing some you have out of my own anxiousness, or you may call it highly curiosity to do whatever I can in my journey. I have been a part of yajna a few times. So my question to you is that although we know we should not ask for anything, as far as today's discussion is concerned, and even as far as Sadgurudeo tells in his Amrit Vani also, that we should not ask. But now that we do get an opportunity to do Havna Yajna, and then all these things do come in our mind, where what we are struggling in our life, which I don't think like we personally I am looking for the fulfillment of those desires. However, there is sometimes those things can be a hindrance to your progress in spirituality. I mean, I look at it that way, that sometimes things come in your life that although you are not looking to get rid of them, but somehow they do get in the way of your complete like devotion to the guru, because all your time is actually going sometimes to deal with that life situation, or that suffering, that sometimes you don't even have time to sit for sadhana. So I'm just going to a very intrinsic point of view. I'm looking at it at a very cellular level, because I've been in those situations where you are completely out of spirituality for some time. That phase is there, that even if you are surrendered and guru is always on your mind, and that you are just a pure consciousness, and that you have to leave everything anyway one day, although you have all that knowledge and gyan, but still somehow your consciousness into dealing with those situations and people. And then now you are doing a havan, and when you are performing havan, and that we could ask for material gains, we could ask for getting rid of our suffering, and then you do ask, right? Because it's a privilege given to you, and you want to make use of it. So what do you think about that? I'm sorry if I have gone away from the path of this discussion, but this was my question, Subhashji.
Jai Sadgurudeo, Monica ji. There are so many aspects of bhakti, and every action leads to an outcome. And as I remember, even while growing up, next to my house, we had Arya Samaj Mandir, and we were the trustee. So we would attend Yajna Havan every day. If not every day, then at least on the weekends, Sundays, it was a must. One of the core outcome is when you are chanting those mantra, when you are doing those rituals, it takes you in that moment transiently for an hour. It pulls you out of what you have been doing on day-to-day basis. It takes you in a totally different world. That is one advantage that I always felt. But when the same yajna is performed by Swamiji, so many times he has told from the dash, he has announced or that the yajna that is being performed, he has been inviting souls, and he has been praying from Akshar Mandal. And those souls, the pure souls, have been invited, and you should ask for whatever you need, and that will be fulfilled. Now, to that end, someone who has surrendered himself to Sadguru, he knows that all his needs will be fulfilled or met. So he is not going to ask any worldly thing because it is not on his mind or her mind, their mind, to ask anything as such. They will once again ask that before this life ends, Achal Bhakti Mohe Dijiye. Before this life ends, I want at least that most of my time is devoted in your holy feet. And every day, if I could be a better disciple. So it is all I see, in my opinion, is one's sanskara. And that sanskara determines what you ask for, whether you are in yajna or where you are praying. It has been mentioned many times that this path is very sukshma. And only few people have been able or capable to traverse this. Bhakti Bhagwan ki bahut bareek hai, शीश सौंपे बिनु bhakti nahi. That is the way Swamiji has mentioned it. When we are talking about surrendering in the sense of giving our head not in the literal sense. So we can understand what kind of surrender we are talking about. But that does not mean that we are all in the same state of this journey. If someone's son or daughter is ill, and in their suffering, if the mother or father is suffering, when they will do yajna, inadvertently, their first wish will be, can my son or daughter get better? Can the suffering be lower? There's nothing wrong in it. It's totally understandable. And it does get better. As far as whatever I have heard, may it be, I don't know, a placebo effect or it's real. I have no comments on that. I'm not that spiritually at that level to comment, but people do get better that I have seen and heard. But if you look at the cycle that it follows, someone was in suffering. When the person was in suffering, their inclination towards Vihangam Yoga or inclination towards meditation increased multifold. They were not coming to any yajna, satsang, but with that physical sickness, the way I would see it, that Almighty decided that you needed that physical sickness to come to get more inclined towards the real journey of life. And the moment you came to the real journey of life, things got better for you, and you are back to the worldly affairs. You once again left this path to go back. So there's nothing wrong or right in asking that. It is good because that is the purpose. But that also, the way I see it, is that if you have surrendered yourself completely in his holy feet, then even in that yajna, with the help of those souls that have been invited, you would once again ask the same thing, Bhakti Achal Mohe Dijiye. Nothing else, because complete surrender means you know whatever is happening, whether it's a suffering, loss of house, property, death of a family member, anything is the way it has to be, and you are under the guidance of Sadgurudeo. So you're not questioning it, you are living through it. So once you start living through it, the more of a disciple you turn out to be. Because we have discussed that we all And our current life is determined by our sanskara, our outcomes of the previous karmas, current ongoing karmas, and sanchit karma from many lives and births. So whatever one has to suffer, one will suffer. And one who has devoted himself or herself in the holy feet of Sadgurudeo and has been a real disciple, we discussed Brahm Vidya Chingadi Udi Lagi Karma Ghar Aag Karma Vasana Jar Gai Chetan Chetan Ja. So in that devotion in the holy feet, and when you are being a yogi, then all those attachments, those bondings, and those sufferings are known to get bond. So ultimately, you are back to that your devotion, your bhakti will lead to you getting everything: earth, dharma, kam, moksha, everything one gets once we surrender to, or in the surrender in the holy feet of Sadgurudeo. धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष चारों फल सदगुरु चरण में चाह अमित फल पाए, चाह अमित फल आए. So if everything is available in his holy feet, and this is what you believe with your surrender, then yajna is a method of purifying your soul in that moment, burning your Kam, Krodh, Madh, Lobh, Moh, Matsar, means lust, anger, attachment, all those things getting burnt is what you aspire for when you do yajna. I hope, Monica ji, to some extent, I answered your question. I know I went in circle.
No, Subhashji, yes. Thank you very, very much. In fact, I have understood this, in this journey, when we continuously hear Swamiji's words and we attend Satsang, and, one thing that you mentioned, that this bhakti to Sadgurudev is very, very sukshma. So I understand, I understand the significance of that statement, and only if I can grasp that well, I think there are no questions left, related to any sufferings or anything, that, at the level of soul, basically, we only aspire for bhakti. Like you said, in the end, that is all what is left. So beautifully explained, Subhashji, and not only to some extent, but you have fully answered my question very nicely. And thank you so much again. And it really helps. Thank you so much for that. And back to you, Diptiji.
So thank you, Monica ji, because your question activates our brain, and I believe I'm saying it, that it helps everyone to dig deeper, think deeper, and get the gist of whatever we are doing. So thank you for your inquisitiveness, and it is helpful for all of us. Thank you. Back to you, Bhakti.
Thank you, Monica ji, for this beautiful question. And again, I would really like to thank Subhash ji for answering all those questions and all the dohas so beautifully and incredibly well. Thanks a lot, Subhash ji, for today's session. So I would like to inform everyone about an event NAIVY is proud to announce. It's Warrior of the Week. We all know the best time to meditate is Brahma Muhurat between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. But most of us fail to do. To encourage this, NAIVY started this event where participants join the WhatsApp group called Brahma Muhurat Warrior. Each participant practice Brahma Muhurat meditation on their own. There is no session to join. Once you are done with the meditation, you can send the status to the group as done. If you are interested to join the group, please let us know and we can send you the link. So for this week, our warriors are Surya Alamraju ji, Ranjita Kumari ji, Prachi Shirshagar ji, Tajinder ji, Yogesh Shirshagar ji. Congratulations to all of you. And inductees of the week were the ones who were able to meditate at least once in the past week. And they are Amit Talekar ji, Bhagwati Patel ji, Maya ji, Lalmani ji, Srirang ji, Ranjani ji, Vinita ji, Tanuja ji, and my name is also there. And congratulations to all of you too. We have now reached the last phase of today's workshop. In this page, we chant the short version of Shanti Path. In the Shanti Path, we chant for peace for everyone who exists in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request again Devji to recite the last few lines of Shanti Path for us. Over to you, Devji.
Shanti Path. Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarup Ho, Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti, Shanti Shanti Jana Shanti Ho, Purna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradhan Kara, Duraha Sarva Shanti, Deva Sada Phala Shanti Maya, Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Jai Sadgurudeo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devji. I would like to thank all of you for joining us and also encourage everybody to ponder over the topic we discussed today. The Navy has been conducting the Sunday virtual satsangs and Vihangam Yoga initiation workshops all over the USA and North America over the last few years. Any queries relating to this can be sent us an email to info@vihangamyoga.org. I would also like to thank again Subhashji, Neetuji, Monikaji, Devji for the valuable contribution in today's session. Also, Navy is proud to announce, just give me, apologies. Yeah. Also, Navy is proud to announce that this coming Saturday, our current master of Vihangam Yoga, Sadguru Swatantra Dev Ji Maharaj, Mataji, and Namdev Sarkar, and they will be traveling to US for the first US Ashrams Foundation Stone Laying ceremony at Phillipsburg, New Jersey on August 12th. And on the same day, we have the Amritvani and meetup session with Sadgurudeo, Mataji, and Namdev Sarkar at Royal Albert Palace, Edison, New Jersey. I think that is Force, New Jersey, which is very close to Edison, New Jersey. So if you have not registered yet, please go to North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga website and please register yourself. And also another announcement is there. Our weekly satsangs, Saturday Hindi satsangs and Sunday satsangs, they are available as a podcast on Spotify podcasting platform. So if anybody would like to listen to our recorded weekly satsangs for Saturday and Sunday, then I believe within a week, those podcasts, these recordings are available on Spotify platform. They just have to type in Vihangam Yoga Hindi and Vihangam Yoga English on Google, and they will get to see the link for our recorded satsangs. And in going forward, we'll be putting in the link on the slide so that you can get to see the link in here. So see you all next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. EST on the same Zoom session. Have a wonderful day ahead and Jai Sadgurudeo.